Now we are back with Off the
Eyes
Road.
on the road.
Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. This is my dear friend Cindy. She is the most amazing, I guess, early childhood autism teacher that I have ever known. And so I thought we would have a little interview today. Cindy and I are on our way to an amazing hike. I'll show you a couple clips of that later. But while we're in the car, I thought it might be fun to do a little interview. So she's gonna hold the camera and cover it up.
Move my phone.
There you go. And I'm gonna drive and ask her some questions about what she does and what she thinks you might need to know. If you happen to have kids with an autism spectrum disorder, or if you thank you for putting your seatbelt
Buckle
on.
up for safety.
That's right. Or if you have, if you happen to be a teacher or some kind of therapist or something. So the first thing I want to ask you, Cindy, is what are the most important things you think to start working on right away?
With kids with autism?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that getting them comfortable with the routines helps first. Just helping them through that anxiety that comes with something new and doing it the same way a lot of times in a row. And then that kind of helps you build that rapport too. And then you can kind of work on whatever you want. Is that what you meant?
That's perfect. I'm not aiming towards any answer. I come from, of course, from a speech pathology perspective. So I'm always thinking about the communication, the social skills, the sensory issues.
Well, of course, there's all those academics you have to think about too, and all of the early childhood development milestones. But all the kids seem to come in at a different level, and they're all going to learn at a different pace. So I think the most important thing is just getting them comfortable and teaching them the routines of whatever you're doing, your classroom or your sessions.
And what do you find the most helpful routines to be in your classroom? The ones either that really engage the kids the most, or the ones that the kids have the most fun with, or the ones that are actually the most helpful academically or socially?
That's a good question.
Honestly, I love your snack time. I've been in Cindy's classroom a number of times, and that's how come I know she's so amazing. But she's also been a volunteer in my special needs programming in a couple of different churches, and so I've seen her in that environment as well. But kids are so motivated by food that if you have the right communication stuff set up, it can be a really fun time for them.
Yeah, I haven't done snack in my own classroom for the last couple of years, though. I delegated that. So I'm kind of out of practice with snack time, but I think it's really important to have moments, whatever it is that you're doing, just one-on-one, where you are engaging them and they see you and they trust you. You've done that pairing and manding thing.
Explain pairing and manding.
So
please.
If I get a new child, the first thing that when they come to work with me, I don't want to expect them to sit down and
do boring
work,
things.
do what I want, and earn the pennies to get things. That's how my whole area works. I have a penny board, and I have a treasure box of things stashed away, and I have a communication book of the visuals of all the things in the treasure box, and then I have all the things that I want to work on to teach them. And so once the child is comfortable, they come in and they sit down and they pick something out of the book to work for, and then they work. And after 5 things, they count their pennies, so excited, and they get their thing. But the first day a kid comes in, they're just like, you pretty much had to drag them in there because they don't know what to expect, and they aren't going to want to even hardly sit in the chair. So I have to just start whipping things out really fast out of that treasure box and figure out which thing they like the best, which lights them up the most, and make mental notes. So something out of the treasure box, and if it gets their attention, great. I'll let them have it for a few seconds, and then I'll get something else. If it doesn't get their attention, I'll try something else right away. And then once I get another thing out, maybe they like it better than the first thing, maybe they don't, and I make note of that. And then I just keep picking things until I kind of have a good idea of what is my highest reinforcer, and all the things that aren't really going to get them.
So pairing is finding the reinforcer, and then manding is having the kid work for the reinforcer?
I'm not positive. I know it's called pairing and manding, and I know what to do, but I'm not exactly sure. The terminology never stuck in my brain.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to put a note about that in the show's notes, another link, so that people can research that a little bit more if they want. That is really a behavioral term, and important in classrooms.
But it's kind of fun. You do that for a few days, and they're having fun, and it's back and forth, and then you can start, maybe I load the penny board with 4 pennies, and they only have to earn 1 to get it, and I can back that off. Some kids don't need it at all. They're so much easier. I mean, every kid's different, but I feel like it's just how much they're willing, they can trust you too. I mean, you're just showing them that they can trust you, and I think it's important to laugh and to touch them and to tickle them and to be as fun as possible. So they want to be around you. I mean,
that's important.
It sounds dumb, but
but so many people, even professionals, don't do that. They just seem to forget that kids actually need to trust you and love you.
Yeah.
To be willing to work with you, because otherwise, what fun is that for anyone?
It goes both ways too. Because if I'm putting in the effort to get them to like me, I mean, I'm getting to know them and their cute little personalities, and then I like them a lot better too. So
that's for sure. Now on this channel, I hope I can smooth out the video because it's so bumpy.
I know, and I'm using my non-dominant hand because my right hand is going to cover the camera no matter what I.
Oh, if you hold it from behind.
Okay.
Maybe that will
there
help.
we go.
Okay, there we go.
Well, maybe. Now that's an awkward angle. I'll just go with my left arm and
okay. If you need to take a break,
it a workout.
Just let me know. I on this channel talk a lot about intrinsic motivation, and so how important it is to eventually help kids to do things because it gets them something they want, but not necessarily because it gets them a reward, an external reward. So speak to that. How does that work? How do you either transition kids from a reward type of system to a more intrinsic thing, or is it an age thing where little kids talk to me?
That's also different for each kid. I'm seeing some kids I feel scared will be at the most basic level of the intrinsic motivation is food. So those are the Skittle kids, and sometimes I feel like those kids are going to want a Skittle for everything they do their whole life. I just don't see them ever.
They don't have that internal
so
drive to do anything just to get their own needs
exactly
met.
I think it's a piece you have to have. And then some of my 5-year-olds now, they don't even care about the pennies or the good stuff. They just want to come in and get the job done. So I don't know that I necessarily make it happen. I think it just sort of is one of those developmental milestone things that kind of comes if you put everything in place for them. It's kind of their choice.
I've always found that it helps to make sure, like you mentioned, to make sure that the kids themselves have that you're providing them access to things that they want.
Yeah.
Not just. So from my perspective as the speech language pathologist in this equation, I want to make sure that they have to ask for stuff that they want, so that the communication is tied to a result that they wanted.
Yeah.
And to some degree that's what you're doing with the external motivators, like the pennies. Something that they want is tied to something they have to do. It's just a little bit more nebulous what the connection is.
Yeah.
And so I'm always trying to make that connection closer and closer.
And I do that too.
Yes.
That's why I think it's so complicated, and I don't have a strategy exactly, because even with the communication board where they're choosing the reinforcer, mean, we try to add on to that. I mean, once they've got the I want this, then we add our name on. Miss Cindy, I want this. And then we add on, please, Miss Cindy, I want this, please. And then you give it to them and you try to get them to say thank you. I mean, just constantly trying to add words, and some of them don't need the communication book at all, but we still try to build the words.
Right. I think that's another thing to mention in this discussion, that it's always a growth process. So you always start where the kid is in a classroom, and then you figure out what is the next skill that the kid needs. And I think that's something that teachers are so good at, and therapists too. We're pretty good at it too. You look at where the kid is, and then figure out what the next thing is that they need to learn.
And sometimes it's day to day. I have some of my harder kids that I've seen glimpses of what they're capable of, their best selves, but they can't access that every day. So
Me neither.
I have to admit that's me too. But I think it's good and it's humbling, because sometimes I just want to push through the curriculum and I know they can do it and I feel frustrated, and then I remember, well, how about we just...
They're human too.
Let's just tickle today, because obviously that's what we're going to get.
Well, and
I want to have fun with you. I don't want you to associate me with someone forcing you to do something you weren't ready for, didn't want to do that day.
And that brings two thoughts to my mind. Number one is we were just discussing yoga on our drive earlier, and how some days...
Listen to your body.
Yeah, you got to push you're always pushing the edge. So some days you're a little more bendy than other days, and you can push the stretch a little deeper. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here. It says the street is closed ahead.
Huh.
Oh, that's
Okay.
fine. That's a different street. Okay.
Crisis averted.
Crisis averted, indeed. The other thought that brings to mind is how important it is to make sure that we're engaging with the kid. We're not just trying to motor them through something.
Yeah.
We're actually relating to them, because the social aspect of any interaction is more important than if they put all the ones in the same spot, or if they got all the red pieces on the red mat.
Yeah.
Those things are all secondary compared to if the child is engaged and really tuned in, because autism is an engagement disorder, not a sorting disorder, not a requesting disorder.
Yeah.
We are sweaty, and now we are back. Now we are back with off the road.
Eyes on the road.
Now we are back with some additional questions, and one that I thought of was, what is your favorite thing about kids who are on the spectrum, or about working with kids who are on the spectrum?
My absolute favorite thing about, I think it's both. I think it's kids on the spectrum particularly, because I've tried it with my grandkids and you get it to a lesser extent, but kids on the spectrum, when you find that one little thing, that engagement between just you and them, sometimes it's like a secret movie talk that you recognized it and you can engage in it with them, or sometimes it's something I started, like an itsy bitsy spider tickle, and then the next time they want to do that, then they sometimes they can't even say it, but they start doing their itsy bitsy spider fingers or something. You just know they're making eye contact and they want to do that thing where just you. That's my favorite thing.
That's adorable. And what was one of the other questions I wanted to ask you?
My least favorite thing? Sure. My least favorite thing is, it's sad to me that there are some kids, not very many, but there are some that you just can't get that connection with. That you try and you try and you try, and that you just can't. I can't connect.
Yeah, that engagement piece sometimes is too hard
Just
to
a few,
find.
and they are so deep in it, and it's just sad and scary to me that they'll grow up. Will they ever come out of that? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I remember I had you think about some more things. Then I went out in the sun and played in the water. I forgot
And
what
so
they
did
were.
I. What else did you say?
What are some of the most common things where you can get that connection with a wide variety of kids? Tickle games.
With the little kids, with the preschoolers, it is often the tickling, because if they're sad, I love that I can redirect them really easy. If they're mad or they're sad about something, if I tickle them or if I do something explosive, like, oh no! Then they get excited again and they want to play. The junior high kids were harder once they were off, but I think with them, it was fun to get into their movie talk. But even with the little ones, I remember my very first class I ever worked in with kids with autism, my first experience. There was a boy who used to this day, if I think of like the wording to that book in Stella Luna, I can hear his little voice, and he would just cuddle on my lap, and he just wanted to recite that book, and it was so sweet. She wrapped her wings about him, and he'd want me to put my wings about him so he could experience the story. It was cute.
That's sweet.
It is fun.
I'm always trying to get kids to move. Once I build that kind of rapport, I'm always trying to get kids to move outside of it to expand their experiences, and so that they're not just keeping on doing the same thing over and over. But it's really nice to give them a sense of security by doing those things sometimes. Just
they
not
just
every
look at
time.
you like, you totally understand me.
Yes.
You get me. You really get me.
See me.
That's like what we want from men.
Yes, and from other women too. We just want to be known.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah, to just engage in that movie talk that I want.
Yeah, just do what I want.
It's not healthy all the time. We know.
It's true.
And they're just funny. Like, I love how hilarious some of the things they do. It's just stuff you'll never encounter anywhere else.
It's true.
Not having that social piece sometimes is really hilarious.
Yes.
We used to write down, remember we used to write down all the funny things that you had to say in a classroom with kids with autism?
Yeah.
We don't lick our friends.
That's right.
There's a million of them. I wish I could think of a bunch right now.
That was a good
There are some good ones.
I mean, the normal ones like hands over clapping or teeth over chewing.
Yeah.
But the funny ones are the ones that you would say and you would never say it anywhere else.
We regularly, walking down the hall with my afternoon class, we have a little girl who, whether she's happy, sad, mad, we constantly have to say, "Don't bite me." Don't bite me. Okay, don't bite me.
Because sometimes you just, even if you're happy,
Oh,
you just
she
can't
does.
control
She's
yourself.
super happy, and she'll totally want to bite you.
Oh dear.
Not as hard.
No, not as hard. What are the things that you would advise parents to get put into place really early in their kids' development?
Oh, I say get them working, get them in the preschools, get them exposed to as much language and people working on language, and it was as huge as it was until I went to preschool, and there seemed to be little magic windows where they weren't talking at all, and then suddenly it just clicks for them. And I think it's so sad. I've seen the kids who maybe skipped the first 2 years of preschool, came in late, and I think they miss that window sometimes. I don't know for sure, but it just seems like some of them experience some magic, and that is so good. And I think it all comes from the exposure and like lots of people reinforcing the same type of stuff, and
Yes.
hearing lots of people talking and having all that language just all around them.
And we were just talking on not on film, about teenagers and about how much teenagers need other adults in their lives to be saying the same things their parents are saying, because it just sounds stupid from your parents.
Right.
And I think preschoolers are the same way. They kind of discount their parents, but when lots of other people are doing the same thing
In lots of different environments.
It hits home in a different way.
Yeah, that's what I love about our classrooms. We set them up as different environments, and so they travel around all day in little different environments.
Like a kitchen or a...
Yeah, we have the play area, and you're getting all the same communication prompts there as you do at work with teacher and at table time and snack and outside on the playground, and independent work. There's just so many different areas you can use
And they're
the
working
same
on the
kind
same
of
skills.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. And I love that you can work on any skill, especially in preschool. You can work on any skill with any activity. You don't have to be doing a matching game in order to be working on colors.
No.
And you definitely would never want to quiz kids about what color is this? What color is this? Because most kids will tune out.
I like to just watch them play and then put words to it.
Yes.
Blue, yellow, red.
That is brilliant. That's exactly what I do also. That's a very speech therapy person type of...
I think I could have been a speech therapist maybe in another life.
I think you
If I wanted to go back to school, but I don't.
I don't blame you. I don't either. I've thought about it too for various reasons, and I decided I don't want to pay the money. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And you never get it back in the education field.
No.
Because, they're not going to pay us $1 million to do what we do. But we do love it. Okay, I think this will be my last question, unless we think of something really brilliant that needs to come up.
Okay.
My last question
Final
is...
question.
Final question. Get ready. This is where
for
you
the
can
big
win
money.
the big money. What are a couple of activities that you wish all of the families of your students were doing at home?
That's a good question.
I wish the families I was working with would all be using communication books.
I made them for everybody and tried sending them home, but I don't think that they're... Well, because we were shut down for a while. I think with the pandemic and when they had to be at home, and then watching them on the WebExes while they ran around in their underwear in the background.
Right.
I thought, the parents don't have the tools.
Right.
So I made a little video. I think I sent you the video.
Yes, you
a
did.
simple training to use the book, and I made all of them that book because I thought the same thing. They have so many less undesirable behaviors when they can say what they want,
right?
Instead of just going for it or getting really angry because you don't know.
Yes, and it helps them connect things to words better because there's the visual right there. And in case you're watching this video, look in the upper right hand corner of this video and you will see a little link, a card where you can go watch more videos on communication books because they're super wonderful tool. The other thing that I wish families were doing, you can play off this if you wish, would be to find, and this would be with the help, of course, communication book, get your speech therapist involved. Find sensory activities that help your kids.
Oh, yeah.
And put together a sensory plan.
Yeah.
That you can work every single day, because your kids will not work right in the head, in the social skills, without appropriate sensory inputs.
They need it.
Yep. Just like we need to move around or we feel crazy. And I guess everybody doesn't feel like that, but I feel like that.
I think I take it as a cue. If I'm not getting much, a lot of times it's because the sensory is off, and so we take sensory breaks. We need to jump. We need that deep pressure somewhere.
Yes. And once
Sometimes
again,
that's why they're biting me and scratching me.
yeah, sometimes they need to bite something.
It's
It's gonna be good.
input somewhere.
And look in the upper right hand corner, I've put a link to a bunch of videos in my playlist on sensory skills. Cindy has a postscript. She would like to tell you some pieces of advice, a piece of advice, something like that.
Well, I remembered you told me to think about one thing I would like parents to know. From teacher to parent for kids with autism, parents are the best. They're your best resource. They definitely have the brunt of the job. But I really have been in a few situations where I just wish all parents would just assume the good. And teachers who go into this field, they're going in with best intentions for the most part. We all love your kids to death, no matter how difficult they are. Definitely always be watching for signs that there's something wrong, but some parents come into a situation they don't even know you yet, and they're already bringing their advocates and they're bringing all this stuff that scares teachers to death. You just gotta know. When you bring the big guns and you just constantly, well, not constantly, when you start off the relationship ready to sue and assume that we're gonna do something wrong to your child, we wonder why you send them at all. Why would you send your kid to a situation where you felt like you had to bring all of that support
We're not
to deal with
adversaries.
us? We're not people who are out to get you. We're never going to sue you. So I don't know. That's just what I would say. I hate when we're attacked for trying to make a team.
Well, and I've almost felt scared sometimes to treat a kid because I was afraid of the parents thinking, oh, well, she's doing the wrong thing, and I want parents to trust my professional expertise. And if they think I'm not using the right strategies, if they don't like me as a person, let's talk about it. And yes, you can get a different therapist, that's fine. But I'm here for your child's good. I really am. And most teachers are. I've run into a couple over the years who just kind of were waiting for retirement. They just weren't completely the best teachers. So assume that the teacher is there because she loves kids and because she's going to be, or he is going to be a good resource for you and for your kid. Not that they're going to be, don't be adversarial immediately right off the bat.
You want to have
without
a good relationship.
Yeah, if possible.
Yeah. That's it. We just want to be on the team.
That's right. Well, Miss Cindy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been such a delightful discussion today. I hope someday we can do it again.
Yay!